You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come. Be my victim. Be my victim.
Before I start this video, I want to say I apologize if you can hear my AC unit in the background. I would have turned it off, but it's very hot. It's summertime in 2021. It is August 31st, and I don't feel like turning it off at the moment. I did turn the fan off, which helps a lot to cooling down my room. My room is like a furnace. It's hot, and yeah, but I turned the fan off, but unfortunately the AC unit is still running, so if you can hear that in the background, I apologize. But without further ado, let's jump into the video. So in today's video, we will be discussing the differences, or well, the comparisons of The Forbidden by Clive Barker, a short story that was collected in a collection called In the Flesh, and its adaptation, Candyman, which was released in 1992. So, without further ado, let's jump into the video, shall we? So, right now we will discuss the story, The Forbidden, a story that comes in at 46 pages via Gallery Books trade paperback edition of In the Flesh, which was written by Clive Barker. This short story / novelette was what 1992's Candyman was based on, which recently in 2021 received a new sequel, which expands on the origin and lore of Candyman himself. So, we'll first delve into The Forbidden. Then we will talk about the 1992 hit horror film Candyman, and then finally we will compare the two, and I will give you my opinion on both the story by Clive Barker and the 1992 adaptation. So, The Forbidden, written by Clive Barker, as stated above, is a horror story that appeared in the collection In the Flesh, which is the 5th installment of the Books of Blood series. It was originally released in 1985 by the publishing company known as Spear Books. There might have been one other publisher that had a hand at this book's success, but I'm not entirely sure. The Forbidden is about a woman named Helen, a university student doing a thesis on graffiti, who selects a rundown estate as the focus of her study. She notices disturbing graffiti that references an urban legend called the Candyman, who is described as a bee-covered man with a hook for a hand. Further inquiries lead her to believe this is connected with the recent murder and mutilations, although the locals are reluctant to discuss the incidents. She eventually encounters the Candyman himself. In the 1992 adaptation of The Forbidden, which was called Candyman, was an excellent horror movie featuring a black antagonist. The film expands on the story, adding some flair to it, like how saying Candyman's name 5 times in the mirror will make him appear to you. It's very similar to the urban legend known as Bloody Mary, in which if you say their name in the mirror a certain number of times, they will come to you. There is also a small connection to the infamous urban legend known as the Hook, in which a man with a hook terrorizes kids, well teenagers, with his weapon of choice, which is his hook for a hand. Similar to the original source material, the Forbidden, 1992's hit horror film Candyman is depicted to be wielding a hook for a hand. So, it's time to compare these two amazing stories. The Forbidden was an amazing story which is about respecting urban legends and the people that believe in those urban legends. Just not believing in the Candyman can cause this nightmarish bee-covered entity to appear to you. Helen learns this the hard way. In 1992's Candyman, Candyman is the slum's urban legend that is something to be feared. If you say his name 5 times in the mirror, he will appear to you, which is not something you want. Just ask Helen. You are probably wondering which one I enjoyed more, which one I found to be the better story. This was honestly a tough one for me though, but after I pondered some time about these two pieces of horror fiction, I have to say that this one is like the rare case where I like the adaptation more than its source material. Although Clive Barker's story is very unsettling, written so masterfully with visuals and an atmosphere that chilled my bones, the movie just gave me more to love. It's not a fair matchup, mind you. The Forbidden was a very short piece of literature, whereas Candyman's runtime was an hour and 41 minutes long, according to what I have found on the internet. The movie gives you way more than its predecessor, or source material. There are some difference between these two stories, and we will only get into a few of the things I think should be talked about, or are worthy of talking about. Firstly, The Forbidden and its 1992 adaptation are basically about respecting urban legends. In both stories, if you just respect the urban legend, you might make it out alive. That being said, The Forbidden's Candyman doesn't need to be summoned, unlike the film version of Candyman. In the story, Candyman can sense if you don't believe in him, and will use your curiosity against you. But in the film version, Candyman must be summoned in order for him to kill you. So, the story's version of Candyman was much more unforgiving than the film's version. But in the end, they both are about respecting urban legends. There are some differences between the story and the film, believe it or not. In The Forbidden, Candyman's depiction is much different than the one in the film. Hell, in the story, Candyman doesn't even have a backstory. The depictions given to the Candyman in the story was that he had waxy jaundiced skin, rogued cheeks, blue lips, eyes like rubies, a patchwork coat, and then a hook for a hand and was a hive for bees that covered his body. There was no mention of his race, or of the backstory that was later given to him in the film. Speaking of the film, in 1992, Candyman is portrayed by Tony Todd, who did a phenomenal job in his role as the supernatural killer. Candyman's backstory in the film was that he was a black artist and the son of a slave. He was murdered in the late 19th century for his relationship with the daughter of a wealthy white man. They cut off his hand and covered him in honey, which led to him being stung to death by bees. His brutal death caused him to become a ghost who will kill you if summoned. He is summoned when you say his name 5 times in the mirror, as said before. Another difference, which is really minute, is that Helen in the story was doing research on graffiti, where in the movie she is doing research on urban legends. This little difference doesn't change the story at all, but it's worth a mention. Also, Helen in the book, or the story, her name is Helen Buchanan, whereas in the movie, her name is Helen Lyle. Why that change was made, I don't know, but it's worth a mention. In the end, I enjoyed both forms of entertainment, but if I had to choose between the two, I would have to go with the movie. It just has much more to offer. In the end, I enjoyed both forms of entertainment. But if you had to choose between the two, I would have to go with the movie on this one. It just has so much more to offer, honestly. Besides, you can't beat Tony Todd's sexy portrayal as the killer Candyman. He was amazing in that role. Seduction was just pouring out of his pores, man. And I just really enjoyed Tony Todd's acting. In fact, even in the 2 sequels that followed the original Candyman movie, Tony Todd's performances were basically the only good or bright side of those movies. And fun fact, the newest Candyman film in 2021 has omitted the 2 sequels that followed Candyman. It omits them, and they don't exist. According to their new timeline, they're not canon, basically. And honestly, I am okay with that, because the new film adds to the lore more than the other 2 attempted to do. But yeah, but give respect and credit where it is due. For Clive Barker's story is amazing and definitely worth the read. Without it, there would simply be no Candyman. Clive Barker is simply amazing. I haven't tried his longer works like Damnation Game and The Great and Secret Show, but I have tried his shorter works, and they are simply amazing. Like I said, The Hellbound Heart, which is like 136 pages, 140 something pages, I'm not really sure, but that one is amazing. Then all the short stories in the first Books of Blood is amazing. I haven't read any of the other volumes of Books of Blood, but I intend to. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Clive Barker for being an amazing inspiration for many authors such as myself. But when it comes down to it, yes, I do like Candyman the movie 1992 version better than the story, which is very rare for me. I truly enjoyed this 1992 adaptation. Tony Todd's portrayal is just amazing. But that is the end of the video. So yes, I did enjoy Candyman 1992 film better than the 1995's The Forbidden. Clive Barker holds a special place in my heart with his short stories and that novella that I love, The Hellbound Heart. I will continue reading his shorter work, and I will even try the Damnation Game and anything else that's horror related. I'm not much of a dark fantasy person, but Clive Barker does have an arsenal of dark fantasy stories, so if you are into that stuff, go check it out. Definitely go check out the new Candyman movie, 2021. I've heard mixed reviews on it, but I've seen it in myself. I have a review on my channel. I really did enjoy Candyman. It was a fun movie. Is it without problems? It has some problems, but overall, I enjoyed it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was a lot of fan service, and you know what? I don't get to see movies very often, so when I do, I go in hoping to enjoy it, and this one I enjoyed. I wasn't very critical of the movie. If I was really to sit down and watch it a second time, maybe I can find all the plot holes and stuff, but honestly, I was just sitting there and just trying to enjoy the film. So, with that, I'm going to end the video. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you have a spooky night. And I'll catch you in the next video. Yo, peace out, my peeps.